Everyone, Andrea here. Welcome to Karcher Makes. Today I'm sharing all the things I've been working on over the past few weeks. I have a couple finished objects, I have some new cast-ons, and I have a teeny tiny little Fiber Fest haul to share. Let's get into it. So I'm first going to start with what I'm wearing, which is this beautiful wrap that took me nearly 5 years to finish. This is the Adventurer wrap by Ambah O'Brien, and I feel like everybody's familiar with Ambah's work, but if you're not familiar with her work, she is a designer and she really specializes in advent projects that use up 24 to 25 different colors. And this project is a really great example of how you can take numerous advents, mini skeins, scraps, and turn it into a very wearable, very cohesive piece. I'll insert some footage of me wearing this, but this wrap is very, very long. I can drape it over my shoulders and it reaches my feet, and I'm about 5'4". So I chose to make this out of an advent from Rising Tide Fiber Company, and I believe it was the 2020 advent. It was all dessert themed, so each color was based on a different type of dessert, and I love desserts and I love mini skeins, so this one was absolutely perfect for me. And the design itself is very repetitive. It is 25 stripes with this eyelet design kind of at the end of each stripe of color, and I really love how this turned out. I did use the colors in the order in which they appeared in the advent. You don't have to do that though. I know most dyers put a lot of thought into the order that the colors appear within the advent calendar, but if you're not happy with how the colors are arranged, there's no rules. It's knitting. It's your knitting. Make the rules yourself. You can absolutely rearrange them. Now, this was a very sort of cohesive color gradient, so I just liked how they looked in order, and that's what I chose to do. So if you're looking for a pattern for Advent, which is coming up very quickly, and Thanksgiving is in less than 2 weeks, so Advent's going to be here before you know it, but I really recommend checking out Ambah's patterns. I've now made, I think, 2 or 3 of her patterns, and they've all been very easy, very pretty, and highly recommend. And then one other thing about this pattern. So it is garter stitch, which means it's basically reversible. So you don't have to worry when you're putting it on. You don't really have to be too worried about what side is the front versus the back. And then especially if you loop it, sometimes when you loop a knitted object that is like, say, stockinette, you're gonna see the back just due to the way the fabric drapes and loops around. This one, you don't have to worry about it. And when I wear this, it's typically going to be just like this. I just like looping it around like a giant scarf, and it is very warm and very cozy and very cute. Next finished object. These are my Autumn Crush socks. The yarn is from Freckled Whimsy, and this was a 24 stripe repeat on 85-15 merino nylon base. And I've mentioned this as these were a WIP before, but this yarn was intended to be this year's Advent 24 stripe countdown sock skein, but they decided that the colorway was a little bit too similar to a previous one, so they released it as an autumn colorway, and I'm very glad I picked this up because these turned out so pretty. And I didn't realize that the striping sequence, when I first started the socks, I didn't realize what the striping sequence was going to be. And it basically is a light stripe and then a dark stripe of the same color, a light stripe and then a dark stripe. So when I started it at this like darker kind of mauve-y color, this kind of dusty rose. And then I used the mini at the very top to just have that little pop of color, but that put the sequence kind of out of order, if you will. So the rest all go light version, dark version, light version, dark version. So this one is just kind of on its own. So what I did was when I got to the toe, I made sure that I measured my stripes out so that I could end on that same dusty rose, dark mauve, whatever you want to call this color, and then have the little pop of the butter yellow at the toe. So those turned out very, very nice. I can't wait to wear these. I just love striped socks so much. They're probably my favorite type of socks to actually wear. Not necessarily my favorite to knit because it is just vanilla knitting, but they are my favorite to wear. And just to kind of go through what my vanilla sock pattern is, and I may be adjusting this moving forward, but these were knit on a size US 1, 64 stitches. I prefer to do magic loop, cuff down to the toe, and then this is a shadow wrap heel. And this is just my memorized, no thought, don't have to think about it, just knit, knit, knit type sock pattern. I did get the 2025 Christmas Advent version from Freckled Whimsy also. It came in the mail probably a couple weeks ago, I think. And I did get the DK version and that. This is the fingering weight version, but I did get the DK version and that. So I'm going to be excited to put a stripe in those every day during December. So that's it for finished objects. Now let's talk WIPs, and I have 3 different WIPs happening right now. And one of the WIPs I've been sharing on my WIP Wednesday kind of mini-sodes. They come out on Wednesdays, as the name suggests. And they're just really short episodes where I go into a little bit more detail about the WIPs that I'm working on. And this one has been really fun to work on and really fun to share with everybody on Wednesdays. So if you're interested in that, make sure you're subscribed so that you can get those in your feed every Wednesday. So the project that I'm talking about is the Jethro Cardigan. It is a design by Tanis Lavelli, and it uses DK weight yarn, granny squares, and then they're all joined together with knit sleeves and then a knit band and hem. I love this project. This is probably one of my most enjoyable process projects. I'm very much a process maker, but this one has been so fun to make, and it took everything I had in me to put this down today so that I could film this. So here's where I'm at. And if you've missed the WIP Wednesday episodes, I'll just kind of give you a couple highlights about this project. So it's 36 of these granny squares, and then they're all joined together. And then, like I said, it's the rest is knitted. The sleeves are knitted, the band is knitted, and then the hem is knitted. And I've started the continuous join as you go method to start attaching these. And I've been a crocheter for almost 20 years. I've never done join as you go, and I've certainly never done continuous join as you go. And at first when I watched, so Tanis links a video from Hooked by Robin, I'm pretty sure the name is, in the pattern. And when I first watched through it, I was like, oh, this is kind of complicated. There's like a little diagram she shows where you have to like go up and down, up and down, up and down with the crocheting. Once I started actually doing it, and the video is amazing, it's very clear about where you need to put the hook, what you need to do. It's so easy and it's so potato chippy, and I just want to keep going. And I know that between now and the next WIP Wednesday, this is going to have a significant amount of progress on it because it has just been so enjoyable to make. So what I have here, let me back up, is basically the back. This is the back bottom edge, and like I said, this is continuous to join as you go. So I'm starting here, and then I'll go up the next line and then up the next line until I get the whole thing together, and then it goes back down and around, and that's where you catch this bottom part. So each square will be kind of trimmed in this gray. And I shared a little bit about the leftovers and scraps in that WIP Wednesday video. It's just random scraps, leftovers, scraps of the scraps, leftovers of the scraps that I'm using, and I'm doing all sort of pink, purple, and orange tones. And then I dyed this kind of medium silvery gray color to do the joining, and then the rest of the sleeves and the hem. I'm really excited to get this done, in case you can't tell. I'm so excited to get this done and then actually wear it. It would be amazing if I could have this finished and ready to wear by Thanksgiving. That would be great. I don't want to put that pressure on myself, but that would be amazing. So the next WIP that I have is a hat, and I am calling this my Pennsylvania hat. So why am I calling it my Pennsylvania hat? Number one, the yarn that I'm using is from Kelbourne Woolens. It's Kelbourne Woolens Scout. The colorway is called Mulberry Heather. And this is basically, it says lightweight 3. To me, that's a DK weight yarn, just based on the amount of yardage. It's 274 yards, which is really between a DK and a sport. I'm considering it DK. So when I looked for a pattern for this, I did purposely look at DK weight patterns. So there's the yarn that I'm using. So Kelbourne Woolens is a Pennsylvania-based company, and I bought this at my local yarn store, You and Me, which is in York, Pennsylvania. So it's a Pennsylvania yarn. I bought it in a Pennsylvania store. So that only means one thing. I had to find a hat design by a Pennsylvania designer, and I ended up finding the Mount Airy Trail Hat, and it is designed by Jinx Made, Jinx Made. And it is this kind of broken rib, and I apologize, I'm using artificial lighting today because my neighbor was out leaf blowing and doing yard work all day. So I had to wait until later in the day to film this, but it is very much a deep purpley, burgundy leaning color. But the pattern is this very easily memorizable kind of broken rib of knits and purls, and it just has this nice texture to it. I definitely want to get more of this yarn. It is so nice and full of fuzz. It is so nice, it's squishy, it's soft, and it doesn't really say what the wool content is, it just says 100% wool. So I don't know what that means in terms of like breeds of sheep, but it is really lovely, and I kind of want a sweater out of this next. So I'm just slowly working on this. It does work up pretty quickly, but I haven't been giving it much attention because I've been working on my Jethro Cardigan so much. But this is just an easy, quick little knit. This would also make a fantastic Christmas gift if you're looking for gift knitting for the holidays. I'm also doing this on Magic Loop. I'm very much a Magic Loop girly, so doing that on Magic Loop, it's very easy to kind of manage that way. So there is that, the Mount Airy Trail Hat, also known as my Pennsylvania hat. Okay, last up in WIPs. So I have had this kit in my stash since COVID, which has been going on 6 years now. And I finally pulled it out and I was like, you know what? In the event that I need something that is just simple stockinette, back and forth, knits and purls, let me just go ahead and start this. I have everything I need. It was all packaged up. It came with the pattern. I don't know if it came with the needles, but I at least bought the needles. Not sure if it came with the pattern or not, or the kit. I don't remember. It's been, again, going on 6 years ago that I bought this. This is called the Easy Collar Poncho, and all it is a stockinette panel that you work, and it starts out with this ribbing. You work the stockinette panel, then you get to a point where you basically leave a hole for your head, and then you work the other side of the panel. So basically I have to do like 18, 20 inches of stockinette flat, which isn't the most interesting thing to work on, but this is a case where it's less of a process knit for me than it is a product knit. I really want this to wear. So the yarn that I'm using, and the kit came with 3 skeins of this and the other 2 are downstairs, but I'll just show you here in the cake. The yarn that I'm using, it's by Art Yarns, and it's called Merino Cloud, and it's a merino cashmere blend. And the colorway is just called 1018 Tweed. And it's this kind of camel color brown. So again, not the most interesting color, given the fact of all these other projects that I'm making are like an explosion of color. But it's just this very sort of simple camel colored brown, and it has black, and then they're either dark pink or maybe light red, depending on how you want to say that, but they have black and like this reddish sort of speckle throughout, and it's knitting up quite nicely. And for this being fingering weight yarn, it does use kind of, I don't know, significantly larger needles. These are using a US 8. It's a US 8, which is a 5mm? Yeah, 5mm needle. So using a needle that large on a fingering weight yarn that's this thin, it does give the yarn quite a bit of drape, which is obviously intended considering this is a poncho, but it's also kind of like see-through. I can see you through there, but really not a big deal because I'm obviously going to be wearing a shirt under the poncho anyway, so I'm less concerned about the fact that it's such a loose gauge and kind of transparent. So there is the Easy Collar Poncho. Oh, and I should also mention the pattern actually comes with 2 versions of this poncho, and they're both basically the same. Only one has a kind of ribbed neckline, and this one has more of a turtleneck / cowl type neckline. So there's my 3rd and final active WIP. I still have forever WIPs left, but this is the 3rd and final active WIP, things I'm actively working on right now. So let's talk acquisitions. So first off, like I mentioned, Advent is coming very quickly in a couple weeks, and a couple people have messaged me about Vlogmas, and I don't know yet. That is going to be very much sort of a game time decision. I at least want to do weekly vlogs that will maybe encompass everything during the week. I don't know if I'm going to do daily. That is a lot of work, and I figured that out very quickly last year when I tried to do daily, that it was just with my work schedule and just everything that's going on in my home life right now with doctor's appointments. I don't know if that's going to be feasible, but in any case, there will be something, and it may be just weekly vlogs. Now, all that to say, I do have several advents, and one is still in the way. Rising Tide Fiber Company, I did the 12 days of Christmas, and it's a For the Love of Dogs themes, and I'm so excited to get that. It's on its way. I got the notification. I think it should be here Monday, and I'm gonna wait until the actual 12 Days of Christmas to open that, which is really going to be perfect because the regular Advents that I got will be over at that point, and it'll give me something to look forward to through the end of December and then the beginning of January. So that one's coming. I also got the Frogget Yarns. They did a weekly Advent, which I think we had the choice of DK or fingering weight. I'm 90% certain I got the DK weight one, and those will be opened every Sunday, and I'm thinking about making a cardigan out of those. I may wait and see what the colors look like, but when I saw Tasha at Frederick Fiber Fest, I was trying to get out of her a little bit of information on I didn't want details on what the colors were, obviously, but I was like, do you think those will work? Are they cohesive enough for a cardigan? And she said yes. So I may be making a cardigan out of those. And the theme for that one is the Dream Harbor series by Lori Gilmore. And as of right now, I think there's like 5 or 6 books of the series. I've read all the ones that are out right now. And you know, they're kind of like, I don't know, I call it Hallmark fiction. It's very much like love and romance, contemporary romance, and they're just cute books. Like, they're not like winning Pulitzer Prizes or anything, but when I just want something cozy and fast to read, I look to those type of books to enjoy. So that's the second one. The third one that I got is the Wool and Vinyl, who is a Marilyn Dyer, and that one it's music themed, obviously, because that's what Wool and Vinyl does. I don't remember the specific like genre of the music, and that Advent just arrived today, and I don't want to open the box just in case, because some people, the way it's packaged, there may be things like on top or whatever. I don't want to open the box yet, but it is taking all of my willpower not to. And then finally, like I mentioned before, I did get the Freckled Whimsy 24 stripe Advent skein. That is DK weight, and I'll be knitting 1 stripe a day on that one as well. So let me show you a little tiny little yarn haul from Frederick Fiber Fest. So Frederick Fiber Fest was at the end of October, which several weeks ago now at this point. It feels like it was yesterday, but you know, time is a construct. I really tried not to go overboard on buying things because I do have quite the stash, but there were some things that just called my name and I had to get them. So I'll show them here now. So the one thing that I knew I wanted to get was a Christmas sock skein, and just to give you all a little heads up, I'm planning to do a video where I go through my stash and pull out some Christmas sock yarn. So Rainbow Ange of the Yarny Yarns podcast, she just released her vlog where she worked on Christmas socks all through the year. And that is such a good idea. Like, we don't have to wait until Christmas to make Christmas socks. They can be made through the year, and then they're actually ready to wear at Christmas. But in any case, I'm gonna pull a bunch of Christmas sock yarns out and share those with you guys. But back to Frederick Fiber Fest. I picked up this one from the Sheepy Shire, and I've never used their yarn before, and I feel like I've seen them at fiber festivals before, but I've never purchased anything until now. And it is this super fun, sparkly, I don't know if the sparkles are going to show up in the artificial lighting, but it is this very sparkly red, green, and white skein of sock yarn. And it's called Pixie Sock, 75/20 merino nylon, and then the last 5% is the sparkle. And the colorway is called Santa Claus Lane, which I love. So these are definitely going to be socks. Now that I finished those Freckled Whimsy socks that you saw, I don't have any socks on the needles at all. Maybe this one's going to be next. So while I was in the Sheepyshire booth, I noticed they had a shelf of bargain yarn, and you guys know I love a bargain. They did not disappoint. I picked up this yarn, which is a DK weight 80-10-10 superwash merino nylon, and these are, I don't know what they actually call them, oopsies, seconds. Like, it didn't turn out the way they wanted to turn out, but it's otherwise perfectly beautiful yarn. And the colorway is called Ghost, but it had some teal spots in it, which obviously was not what they intended for that colorway. So they were selling these as the oopsies or seconds, if you will. What I'm planning to do with these, look how pretty these are. And it is so soft, like it is soft as a little kitten. So what I'm planning to do with these, I got 2 of them. I'm going to make the BF a new hat. Not that he needs a new hat. He has 3 or 4 hats that I've knit him, but he needs a new hat. And he's asked me to make fingerless gloves that has like the removable kind of mitten flap top. It has the little flap that goes over. So I think I may have a pattern in mind for that. If you know of any, please share. The one thing he wanted though was one that actually has like holes for the fingers. A lot of those fingerless mitts is just like an open area, almost like the cuff of a sock. It's just a big open area for your fingers. He actually wants one that has like the little, I don't know, finger holes. I don't know what to call those pieces. I don't know glove architecture. So I'm gonna have to find something to work with this DK weight yarn, but I think those will be fun, and maybe I'll wrap them up for him for Christmas if they get done by then. Who knows? And then next up, like I mentioned, I went and talked to my friends at Frogget, Tasha and Brian, and I got these 2 to make socks with. And this is a 50-gram skein. I love a 50-gram skein. It's my favorite sort of put up. And this is just so perfect for autumn. The colorway is called Grand Canyon, and it is on their Froglets, which again is a 50-gram maxi skein, I guess you could call it, because it's not mini. And it's their 75-25 superwash merino nylon base. And I just thought that screamed fall. Maybe these will be... So I said I was going to cast on the Christmas socks. Maybe I'll also cast on some socks for these for Thanksgiving. And then I wanted a mini to go with it because, wow, a 50-gram skein plus a mini gets me a full set of socks, full pair of socks. So I picked up this mini. And these don't have names. They're just called tadpoles. But it's a kind of pinky color, a rosy pink. That is really pretty. So this will be socks. And then lastly, stopped to see Melissa at Rising Tide Fiber Company and picked up this one. And this is, she did a couple different colorways based on books. And this one was from a book called Main Character, which I haven't read. It's in my giant list in Libby to maybe read one day, but it's this kind of pink with green and yellow, orange speckles, and then a kind of buttery yellow speckly skein mini to go with it. And honestly, I think this would be super cute for some Christmas socks too. It just reminds me of Christmas lights on a pink tree. It's giving me Charlie Brown vibes, that pink tree with all the lights. It works. While I was there, I also picked up this fur pom-pom. It is very bright pink. This light is not doing it any justice whatsoever. But I decided that my photographer hat, which, That looks much brighter on the screen. I decided this needed a pom-pom, so there we go. We have a pom-pom to go with this. And like I said, this is the photographer hat with fuzzies on it. It's a pattern by Lavanya Patricella, and the yarn is Pink Pony Club by Junction Fiber Company. So this was something I finished a while ago, but it just needed a pom-pom for the top. So that is all the knitting, crochet, acquisitions, advents that I have to share with you right now. I am finished weaving my fabric for my cozy alpaca poncho. Fabric is done. It's still on the loom. I need to get it off the loom. Maybe that'll be tomorrow's project. We shall see if I can break away from the Jethro Cardigan long enough to think about working on anything else. But the fabric is done. It's just plain weave. And then once I get it off the loom, it needs to be wet finished and then sewn together. So hopefully the next time I come back for a regular sit down episode like this, it will be finished and I'll be able to show it to you guys. So in other things that I want to make, speaking of weaving, the BF's daughter, we're so proud of them. They are trying to put in an offer on a house, a little townhouse, and I want to make them kitchen towels and then dishcloths. So the problem I'm having with the dishcloths though, and please give me recommendations, I want to use 100% cotton yarn. I don't want to use mercerized yarn because that is not absorbent. They want, or they like, emerald green, and I am having trouble finding emerald green cotton yarn to make dishcloths out of. So if you guys have recommendations, please leave them below. Please help me find this yarn. I've Googled, I've looked through knit picks, I've looked through webs, I've looked through the Woolery, like everywhere, and I'm not finding anything at all. So if you have recommendations, please share. I will be glad to take them. So in other future making news, a couple very near and dear to our hearts is having a baby, and I haven't had a lot of opportunities to knit for babies because, well, in my friend group, look, I'm old, y'all. In my friend group, I wasn't a knitter when everybody was making babies. So I've had to wait for like that next generation to roll around. So I am going to be knitting all the things. I already have a couple baby sweater patterns picked out that I want to make. I definitely want to try to weave a baby blanket. I have one picked out. I just need to find out from mom and dad what colors they like. Dad is a Steelers fan, so if he tells me yellow and black, I am absolutely not doing that. They will get purple and black and like it. So yeah, definitely little baby makes will be coming, and I'm just so excited to get those started. Definitely socks. And speaking of Tasha from Frogget, she mentioned that she made mommy and me socks, which I love that idea. I don't know if I'm going to do it yet, just based on timing, but I do love that idea, and it's definitely a thought that I may consider making some mommy and me socks for them. Then lastly, in future knitting plans, and I kind of alluded to this in last week's WIP Wednesday, Wool & Pine came out with the beautiful Hearthside cardigan, and I'll put a picture of it here. Look at this thing. I need to make this. So the plan is, once I get Jethro completed, that's next. I also want to make something out of both of these advents that have been sitting back here since last December. That one's from Frogget. The larger skeins are from Frogget, and then I have these 10-gram minis from Rising Tide. I need to make something out of those too. So in terms of kind of the next priorities of things I want to knit, definitely the Hearthside, definitely some sort of wearable out of the Frogget Advent here. I was going to make the trifle wrap by Helen Stewart, but I'm not really into making wraps and shawls right now. I've kind of passed that season of my life, and I'm really more into garment knitting. So I'm really looking for something that could go well with that. There's a couple cardigans that I've seen, and then there's a couple pullover type sweaters that I've seen, but definitely need to think of something for that. And then I think for the Rising Tide one here, the 10 gram minis, I think I'm gonna do an infinity scarf. I think that would be super fun to wear in all of those colors. So finally, this has been a long one, y'all. I'm not used to doing these so long now. Finally, in terms of just life stuff, we are busy as ever with appointments for the BF. Thank you for everyone who left nice messages on the last sit down episode. I showed them all to him, and he said thank you to everyone for just sending good wishes and concern. He is doing phenomenally. Like, I could not be more happy with his progress. He started his cardiac rehab 2 weeks ago, and he starts his 3 day a week. They've ramped him up. It was 1 day a week and then 2 days a week, and then now he's starting his 3 day a week program, and he's just been doing so well. He's not feeling any pain, no pressure, no shortness of breath, and we just have been sticking to the diet, sticking to the PT. He's doing his rehab. We go walk at least, we try to do every day, but on the days that he has his rehab, they cover that with him. So sometimes we'll do like a short little walk through the neighborhood, but we don't need to do like the super long one. And then just kind of our next big milestone with that whole thing is his echocardiogram, which is scheduled for the beginning of December. So we're hoping to go in there, get that done, and get some good news on his improved heart function. If his heart function hasn't improved, he may need a couple more procedures, but due to the fact that he hasn't had any symptoms whatsoever and he's been feeling great, they may hopefully say that he doesn't need to have any more surgeries. So that's all I had to share for you today. I know that was a lot. It's been a while since our last kind of sit down, so I had a lot to share. I had a lot to talk about. Just thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you, and definitely stay tuned for more WIP Wednesdays. I've really been enjoying making those shorter mini-sodes, and stay tuned for all the progress on what I just shared here, and then all the Advent fun that's coming up soon.